Mother's Day is almost here, and you can get her the most beautiful time-tested gift around. A watch she can wear every day from Movement. Whether your mom is into classic dress watches, rare and refined ceramics, or tried-and-true bestsellers, Movement has something she'll love. And right now, everything at Movement is up to 50% off site-wide during their Mother's Day sale. A watch is a gift that celebrates all the time you spent with mom. And a Movement watch is even more than that. Movement uses industry-leading materials for their fresh modern watch designs, from technically complex ceramics to vintage-inspired style. All for an incredible value your wrist and wallet will both love. And with one-size-fits-all convenience and fast free shipping and returns, it's a stress-free shopping experience. Save big on the best Mother's Day gift ever with Movement. Get up to 50% off site-wide during their Mother's Day sale at mvmt.com. Again, that's up to 50% off at mvmt.com.
I'm a trauma surgeon at Rhode Island Hospital.
I'm a pediatric emergency medicine physician.
I'm the pediatric trauma coordinator.
We see impaired driving crashes every day.
Children who are victims of impaired driving.
Sometimes they're comatose, sometimes they're screaming.
Broken limbs with exposed bones.
Severe pelvic injuries, head trauma.
I actually get angry because it's preventable.
Makes me feel heartbroken. It makes me feel sick.
Don't drive drunk. Don't drive high.
A message from the Injury Prevention Center at Rhode Island Hospital and the Rhode Island Department of Transportation.
All right, it's October, so you know that means we're going to do some spooky stuff this month. So the first episode of October is going to be my boy who's a professional haunter. And if you don't know what that means, just stay tuned. But before we get into this episode, I need you to do a couple things for me. This show is free. I'm not even putting ads on it right now with sponsors. I'm reorganizing how we do things. But do this for me. If you like this show, give it a like wherever you listen, whether it's on Apple or Android or Spotify, YouTube, wherever. Give it a like. If you can leave a review, leave a review. Subscribe to the podcast and share it with friends and coworkers or whoever. All that helps immensely. In the meantime, if you need some swag or you got a motorcycle, need some work done, check us out at chopahead.com. You can check the podcast out at bigtruthpodcast.com. And if you are really into the show and want to step it up a little bit in the support area, check out patreon.com/bigtruth. We got different levels for you to financially support the show, and they all come with their own exclusive benefits. So check it out, patreon.com/bigtruth. And without further ado, let's get into it right now.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
Yeah, once again, we have liftoff. I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Big Truth Podcast. And I'm stoked. We're transmitting live from not the third. I didn't have time to clean off the third lift here at Chophead, so we're using the spare table tonight. But we are broadcasting live from Chophead Custom Cycles in Freetown, Massachusetts, and I'm here with my man Bil Withonel, and who is an old friend from
more or less,
yeah, just from growing up in an area where, but pre-internet, you became friends with anyone that was part of alternative culture, like, with the hardcore punk rock, alternative music, metal, whatever.
Right, the mall rats.
It's the mall rats, right. Yeah, from the North Dartmouth Mall. But we ran into each other a few months ago at the gym. Yep. And caught up a little, and then found out he's led an interest in life that I wanted to learn more about, because it's the whole haunt industry, which is pretty topically inclined for the month of October. Yep. And so it's a good time to catch up and learn more about that. But what's going on, man?
That was a really, really, really funny day, because I was at the gym. It was over the summer, because I don't typically go to the gym during the day. And I mean, during the mornings. And I see you walk by, and, I know who you are, but I don't know how much we ever talked back in the band days and all that. So you walk by me, and I go up to you. I was like, "Excuse me, is your name Josh?" And you're like, "Hey, Bill, how's it going?" I'm like, "This dude knows me?" No shit. That's something.
Well, we were in the circle with like a lot of mutual friends or friends of friends that were mutual friends and blah, blah, blah. But,
Right.
But back in those days, like we were saying, it was like, we didn't run in the same circles, but we ran in the Venn diagram overlap section.
Right. And like back in those days, I had started out, in playing in bands. You were already in ITI at that point. I don't know how long ITI was going. Like, when did you guys start ITI? You were still in school.
Yeah, we were juniors. It was like 80. No, we were sophomores. It was like 87.
Okay.
I graduated in 90.
I graduated in
Dating myself here.
Yeah, I've been dating myself for years. Anyway, I graduated in 87.
Okay.
From Vogue. I didn't know you from Vogue, but.
Yeah, because, when you were a senior, I was a freshman.
Sure.
So
you had already had ITI for years, and I was doing my first gig in 91. You did my first gig with me. We were in the same thing. And it was a battle of bands. And
that was 91?
Yeah, it was September 6, 1991.
I thought that was earlier. But.
Yeah. And like it was a battle of the bands. They used to do battle of the bands everywhere at those days. That was such a freaking racket, such a way to make money.
Yeah,
Hey, get all your friends, buy tickets, and we'll vote, and blah blah blah. And what do you get at the end of the day? A pat on the back and a pack of crackers or whatever.
Yeah, especially from the curfew on Purchase Street, on a Acushnet Ave. In New Bedford.
Yeah. So at any rate, we didn't even have a band name at that time. I think we were Square One or some shit, and then. We were like 4 real novice musicians, and I was like the least talented of the bunch.
What did you do?
I sang and played keyboards.
Okay.
And I wrote the words and stuff. And I guess if it was like 5 years later or 10 years later or whatever, we would have been classified as emo, But at that point, it was
didn't exist yet.
No, it was just like shoegazer music, as they used to refer to it at that point, just like mopey, and that's how I felt at the time. And then, we're playing that, and we were the first band on, and I knew going in that we were gonna get demolished, But I was okay with it because I just wanted to get out there. I was a shy kid growing up, and I knew if I didn't, break down that wall, I wouldn't have a life. And that was it. That was the first domino, and then everything went cuckoo bananas since then.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I was in another band after Market Square called Too Many Gens for a lot of years. You probably remember those guys. And that was always fun. But we used to do these shows on Halloween, and we would, we used to do it at the college, right? Yeah. And we would all dress up like the Misfits, and we would do a Misfits tribute show every Halloween for a couple of years. And as time went on, I started, enjoying putting the show together more than playing the music. Okay. The music was fine, but I really liked, designing the makeup, designing, what are we going to wear? What are we going to put on the screens? Putting the set list in order. It was more of the production than the music end of it. And it was 1999. And most of the band, if not all of the band, Spooky World, which that was a haunted house, a big haunted house. They started out in Berlin, Mass, and they had just relocated, and they were in Foxborough.
Yeah.
So that's a lot closer, right?
Yeah. I remember like that time. It was like when they came, it was like they had a big launch.
Yeah.
Coming into Foxborough.
Right, and it was a much bigger show at Foxborough, and I just remember it was the four. I think it was the four of us, or maybe one guy wasn't there. But specifically, I remember Tom Baker, the bass player for Gens, being there. And we're both big horror movie guys, and we're just walking around, just like saucer-eyed, looking at everything. Like, this is the greatest place on planet Earth, and we're like, we're gonna work here next year. And it wasn't even like one of those. Sometimes you just say something and you throw it away. We're going to do this someday. No, I meant it.
Yeah.
We're going to work here next year. And we kept our eyes on the website, and we did. We signed up. We worked there. It wasn't really for Tom. He made it through most of the season, but he was like, not for me. And 24 years later, I'm still working in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've worked. I mean, you name the haunt in New England, I probably worked there, or at least I got friends there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been the life I didn't think I would be living right now. That's for sure.
So that's your main gig, right? Like working.
Well, I mean, it's not how I make money. It's not like this. It's not like your motorcycle shop over here. There's an old.
I don't make money here either. Like, don't worry about that. Yeah.
There's an old saying. It's like if you want to make $100,000 in the haunt industry, start out with 200,000.
Yeah.
So, but that's like my main hobby.
Okay. All
you
right.
know,
Sure.
that's my main, like what I focus my free time on.
Yeah.
Like instead of doing the band,
Yeah.
you know, I'm doing haunted house stuff. And you're like, well, how do you do that year round? You'd be surprised. There's plenty of things to do in the off season.
Yeah. Like, so take me through how that works. Like, how do you go from like a kid that goes to the spooky world for the first time
Yep.
and it's like, I'm going to fucking do this. And then you see online that they have, you know, jobs or something like, or, you know, whatever it is, you sign up and you get in. Take me through that process of like how that works. Like, so they're like, all right, they call you up. You're like, all right, you're interested in coming on. Like,
Right.
And then what happens? Like, cause it's, you know, everyone's familiar with like seasonal haunted house stuff.
Right.
But like, you know, there's different levels and scopes and, you know, from like a small room to like acres, you know, of stuff. But like, so how does it like kind of,
All right, so this is going to be two levels of conversation here because one, I'm like old school wrestling kayfabe where I don't like to let you peek behind the curtain too much.
Sure, yeah.
And all that because it ruins the
of course,
the show for people that go to these places. But
I just more from like, how do you get involved?
Yeah.
So, I don't want you giving trade secrets.
Right.
I don't want the recipe for the fake blood. I just need.
So like, it is a world kind of like wrestling or kind of like a magician or kind of like even though this is a dirty word to say, but almost like carny stuff where unless you're in that world, you're not going to fully understand that world.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, sure.
So, and then, like I said, I've been in it for 25 years. It's weird. It's stupid. It's silly and all that. But at the same time, it's art on every level.
Yeah.
You know? So anyway, we go down there, you know, for the big cattle call that they have. And, you know, basically you got to be real horrible to not get in on the ground level.
Yeah.
And then they weed you out, you know, as things go along. So, you know, we're over there and they're doing some like groundbreaking, you know, getting you acting classes, like working on your facial expressions and all that. And I'm thinking to myself, you're kind of overthinking this, aren't you? I mean, aren't I just like popping out and going, and all that? And that's what you think it is, but it is so much more. There is so much more that goes into it. It's a lot of psychology and like this person's going to be situated there. The room's going to look like this. The lighting's going to be there. The sound effect is going to be this. The music is that. The smell. There's so many different levels to it. But I'm getting way ahead of myself.
So do they really pump smells? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I haven't been to one like since I was a kid, and I'm sure it's way more advanced.
You know what? I really should have brought my coupons with me. You should come see our show.
I will.
Yeah, I work for Barrett's Haunted Mansion now. First of many cheap plugs. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. You should come see our show. It's
Is it barrettshauntedmansion.com?
It's bhmansion.com.
Okay.
Yep.
People check it out.
Yep.
And I'll put all these in the show notes later, so like people can just go look there for a reference for all the links. We'll do that.
Right. Yeah. And there's all sorts of different like scents and stuff like that. Like one of our characters that he's like an evil clown, and he walks by you and he smells like cotton candy.
Okay.
You know. And my friend Sean, he used to douse himself, when he did his clown character in another haunt, he would douse himself with cotton candy and a popcorn scent.
Huh.
And he said, I'm going to scare the hell out of that girl over there. And then next summer, she's going to go to a carnival and she's going to smell cotton candy and she's going to smell popcorn and she's going to think of me. That's like the kind of level that I'm talking about.
Yeah,
like
people getting deep with it.
Yeah. Sean,
people like reading dark psychology books.
Yeah. Sean was one of the deeper psychology types. So at any rate, I get into the spooky world, you know, at Foxborough, thinking that it's going to be all people like myself, people that are like super into horror movies, and you know, maybe a couple of guys that are into metal and Misfits and this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah.
Horror punk.
Yeah. And I got there and it was the majority of the people that I met on my first couple of days were all theater people.
Okay.
which was not my jam.
Sure.
I ended up working in theater later on, but when I got there, I was like, you got to be kidding me. It was like a lot of Rocky Horror people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I was
The
like,
worst. Sorry, I'm just
no arguments.
no, but I just remember from high school, the theater people like, oh, come on, just relax.
Yeah.
You don't got to be a thespian 24 hours.
Right. You don't have to roll your eyes or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, God, what have I got myself into? But the way I was brought up, you sign up for something.
You stick to it.
You stick to it. I remember being on a bowling league when I was a kid, and I was like, I don't want to bowl anymore. And my parents were like, you can quit, that's fine, but you're finishing the season.
Yeah.
Because
you signed up for that.
You got people counting on you. So I signed up for Spooky, and I was like, what have I done? But I ended up finding my people, with that were into horror movies that I could talk to and all that. And I ended up working in the house it was themed after Elvira.
Okay.
But Tom Savini, the director, the director and the special effects makeup artist, he helped design that house.
Okay.
And it was funny because I know Tom Savini from like Day of the Dead.
Sure,
and
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like that.
the zombie movies. Yeah.
Right. And we got the big meeting, and Dave Bertolino, who owns Spooky World, is like, talking to us what we're going to be doing, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, sorry. Full power. I usually shut this ringer off.
I shut mine off, Josh.
Okay. I'm just doing this so they don't call back.
Okay.
All right. So go ahead. I'm listening.
So Dave Bertolino is like, talking about what we can expect from the season. And he's like, and Tom Savini's going to be, working with us for the first 2 weeks. And you put your hand up, Tom. Motherfucker was standing right next to me, and I didn't recognize him because I was just seeing him with like that bowl cut.
Yeah.
And the mustache. Now he had like a full goatee and a long ponytail. I was like, oh shit, it's Tom Savini.
Yeah.
And over the years, like getting to work, with Tom Savini, getting to meet and hang out with, I hung out with outside of the haunt industry. I was like at somebody's house at a party with Gunnar Hansen, who was the original Leatherface. Yeah. So it's like,
I still have, like, from when I was a kid, a signed thing from him.
oh really?
Yeah.
My friend,
I used to go to Fangoria conventions.
My friend Bruce has one of the poles that hold up the banister that got destroyed in that scene in Texas Chainsaw. Yeah, he's got one of those from the original movie, autographed by Gunnar Hansen.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I had a guy on the podcast that played Leatherface. He's in the motorcycle industry too, Big Schwag, and he played on the remake, the one that came out, I don't know, it was like 08 or something, Jessica Biel and all them.
Yep.
He played Leatherface for part of that.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. But he only did like the first kill, and then he had to quit because he got like heat exhaustion.
Oh, all right. So I,
the other guy?
yeah,
Okay.
he's,
He's something.
yeah, he's something. I was about to say you'd be hard pressed to find somebody to really talk him up.
Yeah.
He kind of got a bad name.
No. So
himself.
the guy I know, like, he was only on it for a couple weeks, and he did like the first kill, and then like he had heat exhaustion because they filmed it in 90-something degree heat, and he's carrying people around and shit.
I can't remember the other guy's name. He's whatever.
But
that's irrelevant. He worked with us too. He did autographs over at Spooky World. He stole one of my props and running off with it.
Oh, that's
he wanted us to stop the show because he dropped his sunglasses. It's like, that's not the way it works, dude.
Yeah. Stop the whole show.
Yeah.
Till you find your sunglasses.
Stop the show, turn on the lights so we can find his sunglasses. It's like, nope, TS. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's a level of narcissism, I guess, or for lack of a better word, I don't know, whatever, or entitlement. That's bananas. But whatever.
So Spooky was at Foxborough for about 4 years, and then one of the owners passed away. And the other owner was like, I'm just going to sell everything, and just like made a snap decision and just closed
it off,
closed up shop and auctioned everything off. It was nuts. It just died. It was like, we were all set. We had manager meetings and all that. And the rug got pulled out from underneath us. And that year we ended up building our own haunt over at Edaville Railroad.
Yep.
It was called Evilville. And that was ambitious, if nothing else. Then somebody else bought the name to Spooky World, like rented it, I guess you could say. And a lot of us that worked at Foxborough followed that, and a couple of us splintered off into other haunts too. And then ultimately, Spooky World ended up, the name anyway, ended up at, it's Nightmare New England up in Litchfield, New Hampshire. Huge park, big hayride. I forget how many acres, like 50 acres. It's huge. It's a huge place, yeah. And I worked there for a lot of years too, but the commute got to be just excruciating. So that's how I ended up at Barrett's Haunted Mansion.
And where's Barrett's?
Barrett's is in Abington.
Okay.
So like just outside of Brockton.
Yep. North Shore. I mean South Shore. Sorry.
Sure.
So you, and I know don't worry about giving away too much. You
All right. So here's the deal. Okay.
So you get called.
Yep.
You go in. You meet up with all the thespians. You do your first season, but then you do find like your clique within the world there.
Yeah.
But then so how does it work? Like, do you like the longer you stay, the advanced? Are there like coveted roles and characters and things, or like?
Sort of, yeah. So I was about to say while you were just talking to you is, keep in mind I've been doing this for 24 years.
Yeah.
And you said you know nothing about it.
Yes.
So
dumb it down.
So it's like a complete yin and yang where I don't know what to talk about because it just seems second nature to me, and you don't know what to ask. So
yeah.
All right. So all right. Typically, you get whenever you start out in the haunted house, they give you what I'm using air quotes over here if people can't see me, a house role where you're working inside the house.
Okay.
And they'll give you a jump spot. Or a Scooby, which I'm pulling the curtain a little bit. A jump spot is where you're obscured from the people coming through, but I can see you. I'll see your shadow or something like that. And as soon as I see you coming, boom, I pop out and I scare the shit out of you. That's a jump spot. A Scooby is something like a panel in a wall that'll drop down or slide across.
Yeah.
So kind of like Scooby-Doo. Or whatever. And then as time goes on, as the managers or the owners or whatever, see you and they see, all right, this person's good at this person, shouldn't ever be let out of the drop box, whatever the case may be. Whenever I was working my first year, they brought us through the house and they were showing us all the different like spots. And, I'm the new guy. And they had this thing, it was like a hydraulic lift that you would put on a Grim Reaper robe and you would stand on this hydraulic lift and you would press the button. It would lift you like maybe 3 feet in the air.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw it, I was like, I want that one. That's cool. So we get to the end of the house and they're like, okay, does anybody have their spot that they want to do? And my hands up. And I was like, yeah, man, I want to fly. Right. So he goes, all right, go play on it. So they're telling me that I have to strap myself in. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And I used to like jump off the thing like a wrestler and just like land in front of people. And my boss at the time, what the hell was his name? John Burton. That guy could build a haunted house like nobody's business. One of the best artists I've ever seen, like in the industry. Scripting, not his strong suit, Yeah. And he wanted me to say things like, wow, look at these chickens. Colonel Sanders would be really proud. It's like, I don't know if that's really something that's going to work. So whenever customers would come through, I would see what they were wearing, see what they were doing. And I would just kind of like, not make fun of them, but make fun of them, sail into them a little bit.
Yeah, like a stand-up. Stand-up is going to work the crowd. Like see somebody point something out.
Exactly.
So people know, you're not, well, obviously they know you're not a robot, but they,
right. Like you see,
they become part of the show.
Right. You see somebody and they're nervous that they get their fingers in their mouth. They'd be like, hey, you got to eat all of that? Something, playing with the crowd. So one of the other bosses comes through, like this is like the second or third weekend, and he just stops and he looks at me. He goes, do you ever say the same thing twice? I'm like, sometimes. Yeah, of course. He goes, never heard it. Haven't heard it yet. And I was like, is that bad? Do you want me to script? He goes, no, that's great. That's fantastic. Everybody gets a different show. That's the way we want things. So I ended up getting, building a reputation of just
ad-libbing.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, some people do, some people don't, whatever,
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and not everyone has a talk and roll, right? Like,
no.
So if you're not good at ad-libbing, you don't.
No. And some people don't talk, and that's fine. I got a number of characters that I do. One of them is a chatterbox that doesn't shut up, and the other one doesn't talk at all.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I don't feel like dealing with the crowd. You know, it's a lot of teenagers.
Yeah.
And teenagers are horrible, horrible people that should be wiped off this planet.
Just put them in their own place for like 4 years till they grow up.
Oh my God, World War II must have been awesome with all the teenagers just going off to war. Come back when you're a man. Leave me alone.
Or don't.
Yeah, or don't.
No disrespect to anyone who had a
No,
of course, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so do you well, I know I'm assuming you probably have to build up a certain amount of trust on behalf of the management, but like, is there a point where you can start developing your own characters?
Yeah. So one of the characters that I do is like a voodoo priest, you know, and what had happened was the guy that had built the haunt, one of the haunts that I was working at, he didn't have any character design for the room. Everybody in the haunt all wore the same costume. And it was like a Spencer's Gift zombie costume, like the gray with the plastic guts and all that. And I'm just looking at it. I'm like, this is awful. And I was supposed to be the greeter. I was supposed to be the guy at the door, you know, giving everybody the instructions. Don't touch the monsters. The monsters don't touch you. You know, watch your step, blah, blah, blah. And I said to my boss, I was like, I've got a 3-piece suit in my car that is all ripped to shreds. It was from the Boston Zombie March. I go, I got that in my car. Can I go wear that so I don't look like everybody in this haunt, so I can stand out? I'll be something different. He goes, yeah, go get it. And then the gears started going. I was like, all right, if I'm going to be in charge of zombies, a voodoo priest, because that's where that's where zombies come from. So I developed this like voodoo priest character, and I've been doing him for over 15 years now, and he's evolved. He started off looking, you know, kind of like a kid's drawing of a voodoo priest, but now he's like something out of a Disney.
You've had time to get more innate with it,
and research and spend money. Like I did the hat. The hat alone this year cost me like $120.
Yeah. So, and I don't want to jump the gun because there's a couple funny questions I want to ask you, but I feel like we should establish more of like how everything works and stuff. But like, because you mentioned teens, I'm like, what's some of like the worst like interactions? Like, you know, like what are the things that can go wrong? Like,
oh, funny you should ask. So before we jump that gun, I'm going to just backtrack to our conversation that we had in the gym. And, you know, I was telling you, you know, like, hey, so, you know, what do you do now? And I was telling you, you know, I work with the haunted house industry. And you said something like, oh, you know, I should get you on the show because that's really weird. And then you like kind of like backtracked and you're like, well, I don't mean it's weird. I mean, it's just, and I was like, Josh, I am perfectly aware of how ridiculous I am. You don't have to apologize. So what's the worst that could happen? Lucky for you, it happened last year. So I was doing a character that was kind of like...
So 24 years in is when you hit the worst thing.
It seems like it's getting worse every year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully that's the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Hopefully this year, like, although, you know, we'll see. But last year I had 2 incidents and one of them broke me. One of them broke me like I didn't even know what I was going to do with myself. So the first one, I was walking, the kid hadn't even bought his tickets yet. And I was doing this like cult leader, like 1980s satanic panic, cult in the woods kind of thing.
Yeah. Freetown shit, right?
Yeah. And, oh yeah, that's right. We're in the Freetown, right in Freetown. So I just got up. That character doesn't talk. And I was just staring at the kid. I'm wearing these like Kiss boots, you know, so I wanted to be taller. I'm not a tall dude. So I wanted to be tall and menacing. And this guy's like staring at me and he's giving me, you know, a mouthful. And I had these business cards that were completely blank, except for in very small print, it said, "We will be in touch," which is really creepy, right? Yeah. So I just flick my fingers and I hand him the card. He takes it out of my hand. I walk 2 steps. Motherfucker chump slaps me right in the back.
Did he know you were part of the show or did he just think you were a weirdo hanging outside?
I'm gonna assume he thought I was part of the show. I mean, nobody who dresses like that. You're at a haunted house, you know. I mean, I had a full like goat mask and stuff like that, you know. And I'm in Kiss boots and a robe, and all that. Right. So the dude chump slaps me, hits me right in the back, right, and I look down. My business card is on the ground, and I'm looking at him, and he's like, "What the fuck are you gonna do?" Right, and I'm like, I'm gonna take a note of what you're wearing so I can go turn you into security, because I mean, I'm not gonna fight the dude. This is my job. You know what I mean? It's like, how many fist fights break out at like, you know, Best Buy or whatever the hell? I'm doing a job. I'm an actor in a show, you know? And this guy, you know, some people, they just want to let you know how tough they are, you know?
It's like you go to the haunted house to pick fights.
Yeah, exactly. Weird, and that's the thing too. If you're going to hit me in the back, which is a coward's move. Yeah. If you're going to hit me in the back and I'm wearing Kiss boots, I'm not running after anybody. You know, you could, and I fall over. If you're going to hit me in the back, what are you going to do to like some, you know, we have a lot of young and small girls that work in the house, you know? Apparently you're not above hitting one of them, you know? So I got to weed this guy out, you know? So I got to go turn him into security. So I go get security and they come over and he's like, he hit me first. And the security's like, that did not happen. So they gave him a warning, which I didn't agree with. They should have just tossed him. He ended up messing with this other dude who's very, very thin. You know, I think the guy weighs like about maybe $140. You know, real skinny dude. Messes with him. And then he messes with this other dude that's like a power lifter. He's like, like that, right? And it's like, you got to be out of your mind. So at that point, they're like, all right, get the cops, get this guy out of here. And the guy started messing with the cops too. It's like, dude, how much do you have to prove here?
Yeah. You might have been on something, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. That's entirely possible.
Oh, was he with the chick he was trying to impress?
No, he was with his boys. And his boys were like, dude, knock it off, knock it off, knock it off. It's like, you know.
Sounds like he was scared and he was trying to like overcompensate.
Yeah, I've seen so many of that. That's probably exactly what it is. You know, I didn't even think that he might have been on some sort of like speed or whatever. You know? I don't know. My knowledge of drugs, you know, starts and ends with NyQuil. So, he was huffing NyQuil. So anyway, later on in the season, we do this thing at Barrett's Haunted Mansion, bhmansion.com. We do this thing on busy nights, and we call it the Rush. And what happens is all of the roaming characters. So you asking about coveted roles. A lot of people think of the roaming characters as the coveted roles because those are the ones that get their pictures on Instagram. You know, people all want to take pictures with the roaming characters.
So roaming just meaning they can go around the whole grounds, or just,
we usually run through the lines. We keep the lines entertained because on busy nights, like the third and fourth week in October, you know, sometimes you're waiting in line for 2 hours, if not more.
So you could have something going on.
And if it's cold, people get real antsy. You know, so you got to keep them entertained somehow. We have a stage where we do shows on the hour or on the half hour or whatever it is. It will be like a magic or a scavenger hunt or some shit like that. And then on the half hour, we do the Rush. And what happens is all the roaming characters all gather at a secret spot. You don't get the curtain. So we all gather in our secret spot, and then the alarms go off, and we all come walking down the stairs, and we all surround the queue line. And then heavy music starts up, and you just hear this air horn go off, and we all jump into the line at the same time. So you got like 8, 9 characters all zigzagging through the line. It's chaotic, you know, and people scream, and some people are not screaming or whatever, but I mean, a lot of people freak out, and it's fun. It's entertaining.
Jump scares.
So this one girl was really drunk and really ambitious too, and we'll get to that in a second. And she is getting up like point blank in the roamers' faces, like right nose to nose, and going, ah, and screaming like right in their face. Now, you know, I'm not a tough guy. I've never been in a fight outside of high school, and I lost that one. I couldn't kick my own ass, but the costume's on, you get a little bit more bravado in you. You know, I mean, Papa, my character, he's a lot cooler than I'll ever be. So I see this girl messing with two of my friends. Both of them are under 5'2". You know, they're both real, tiny girls. And she is just like screaming in their face. So in my head, I say, I go up to the girl. I didn't say it out loud, but in my head, I'm looking her in the eyes and I'm like, come on, honey, come on. You want to scream? Go ahead, let it out. Scream at me. You can scream all you want. Let it out. And she screams and then she goes and spits right in my face. I don't know if you get the newspaper, but there was a global pandemic over the past couple of years. That is not the best move you should be doing, to people, spitting in their face. So
it's a pretty big disrespect as well.
Yeah.
Never mind the other stuff.
I mean, yeah, sure. I grew up listening to punk rock, but gobbing has always been disgusting. Don't do it to me, right? Yeah. And I reached down and like a beer just like magically appeared in my hand. I went to grab her hand to get her on the line, and she had a Coors Light in her hand, Yeah. So I spike it like a football, and I'm like, and I'm like screaming for security, and they all jump in the crowd, and the whole thing was on video. It was up on the internet for a while. So I walk off and I go in the back, and the cops and head of security come in the back to me and they go, do you want to press charges? I was like, I can press charges? They go, yeah. And I was like, no, just get her out of here. I don't want to get involved with going to court or this, that, and the other, or even having this girl learn my name, which is a possibility. I don't want her peeking behind the curtain. Yeah. And also it stops the show. It destroys the show. I'm a big proponent of the show. Sure. Protecting the business as wrestlers always used to do and all that. But the show comes first. People say safety first. No, the show comes first. Safety comes next. Because if you break your arm, you've stopped the show. And the show is more important than your arm. So don't fuck around. So I didn't want to get through all that, but they ended up like kicking her and her friends out, pulling their tickets and all that stuff. And I was in the back sitting on the picnic table for like 45 minutes, just trying to come down from that. And they all the, not security, but like the management had like surrounded the entrances to the break room because any of the other actors coming backstage, they were like, do not talk to Bill. Do not talk to Bill. Because they never seen me pissed off. Yeah, so you had all adrenaline. Yeah, they have no idea like what to expect. What can they expect? Nothing. Because like I said, I don't lose my temper, but I had to come down from that. So that happened last year. And I'm really hoping that nothing escalates beyond that this year.
So not as far as not horrible or disrespectful or annoying things, but what's like some of the weirdest shit or the weirdest reactions you've seen, like like a weird things that have happened in those spots? Like
we had somebody pop their hernia. We had somebody pop their hernia that was in Boston. There was this awesome drop down, like it was like a coffin or a tomb or whatever, and the side of it dropped down to make a big noise, and it scared the person so much that they ended up popping their hernia. That was probably the worst thing I've seen. I have seen many people piss themselves.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
I've seen. Have you literally scared the shit or piss out of somebody?
For a while, I had a record, but then my friend Brian broke it, the son of a bitch. But it was one of my first years working. I was still in Foxborough, and these two girls came through my room, and I popped, and this is not when I was doing that flying roll, and I popped and I scared them, and they ran up the hallway, and then all you smelt was piss. Usually when you scare somebody and they piss, it's like squeak, boys and girls' bladders work differently, Usually with a girl, it's like squeak, and that's it, right? These two girls, both of them, full download, just bladder emptied, and that's all you could smell. So I go into the next room, or two rooms up, and I was like, did that girl piss? He goes, no, they both did. They both had big stains. I scared the piss out of both of them, and they both like.
That's a badge of honor, right?
Oh yeah, we used to give out badges at the end of the year. I still have mine from Spooky. Yeah.
Well, what's your body count?
Oh, I don't know. I've lost count by now.
Oh, but like on your like yearly, like what was like one of your better years of piss body counts? If you remember, yeah.
No, I remember the haunt, because we had 4. We had 4 haunts at 4 haunts in a hayride at Spooky World in Foxborough the first couple of years, and we would have competitions.
Okay. With
the houses, who get the most. Now we did crazy business over there. There was nights that we had like 10,000 people. You know.
Yeah.
So I think we had like the house had a dozen, about a dozen in one night. The house that I worked in. That's a lot of piss.
Yeah. In one night.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was one night.
That wasn't a weekly total. That was the
that was one night. Yeah.
Now,
that wasn't a whole season.
This isn't like
right?
kids. This is like teenagers, adults.
It could be anybody. Yeah. Last year, because I don't work the house spots as much anymore. What I like about where I work now, Barrett's Haunted Mansion, bhmansion.com, where I work now, most of the time I'm a roaming character. Most of the time I'm running the lines, but there will be nights that they put me in the house spots just to, one, I can help train the new people, and 2, it breaks it up. You know, if you went to see the show, well, one thing about Barrett's is we redesign the show 100% every year. So if you saw the show,
you went last year, it's a different one this year.
Yeah. So if you saw the show last year, no, you didn't, because we have 100% complete new design for this year. Nobody else does that, not that I know of. But even if you did come once this year, if you come on a second night, you might get a completely different show because we shuffle people around. So I was doing a serial killer room last year, and it was really cool. We had these I was like in a jail cell. But some of the bars were actually like bungee cords made to look like bars. And I could just like jump out, and then it would like pull me back. And I jumped out of this woman, and she just like squatted down and went eek, like that. And she stands up, she goes like humiliated. She's like, I just pissed. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. No shame. Yeah.
Yep. No, that's the goal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I knew it. You know, I just that's all. I only wanted to do this whole interview to find out if that was the point. Like if that was a badge of honor.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Not just that though, Josh. I mean, if one of your friends went to a haunted house, all right, whatever. I'm not going to drop names. If you went to any haunted house, if you went to Barrett's, we'll say, and the first thing you're going to ask them, was it scary? You know?
Yeah.
And if you don't get somebody to piss their pants, how scary are you?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, was it scary? Yeah, man, the chick in front of me pissed herself. Of course, you know?
Yeah, that probably helps word of mouth business. Like,
yeah.
Like, not that girl probably ain't telling people, or she'll probably tell close friends, but she ain't telling people at work, I pissed myself at the thing. But like the guy behind her, or the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the couple behind her.
Yeah.
Like, there's a chick pissing her pants in front of us.
Yeah.
Dude pisses his pants or whatever.
Or whatever the case may be, right?
Do you get weirdos trying to be part of the show?
Yes. Just last week.
I love how timely everything is.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to go that far back. You're like, nah, everything fucked up just happened like in the last 6 months. Yeah.
Last week, because we have a restaurant on site, you know.
Okay.
And it was a slow night. We only had, a couple of hundred, customers for the whole night. A busy night is like 1,500.
Okay.
So we only had like 200 customers. It's the beginning of the season. So
yeah, it's not even October yet.
Right, at that point. It was only the second night we were open. And we have a restaurant that's in the same property as us. And somebody that was coming from the restaurant saw me and my character. And I was actually in an area where customers aren't supposed to be. It's like a little shortcut. And he had followed me into that. And he grabbed me by the shoulder and yelled. And he kind of spun me a little bit, and yelled. And I thought something was wrong. I thought there was an emergency just by the, because of where I was, the frantic, the urgency of it or whatever. So I turned around, he goes, I got him. And I was like, I went up to him, I was like, don't put your hands on me. And we ended up getting security over there. And the guy's like, I'm sorry. It's like, I don't give a shit if you're sorry. Just don't do that.
Yeah.
Yes, people try to be a part of the show. At Spooky Nightmare New England, there's a big outdoor walkthrough. It's in the woods. And, you have a path that you have to follow. And at least once a weekend, I'd hear stories about people walking off the path to either, hide to try to scare their friends or go make out, teenagers, and or go smoke pot or whatever they're going to do. But they walk out into the woods. It's like
whatever these damn teenagers.
Yeah, with their
nowadays.
crazy pinball machines and their Guns N' Roses videos. But they'll walk out into the woods. It's like, I don't know if you get a grasp of. I mean, maybe I would have done that when I was a teenager too. But as an adult, I'm like, do you know how stupid you are? You're gonna go walk out in the middle of the woods. You're going to get lost. There's no lights. And all that. And I mean, it's not like there's bears, but there could be. There's been bears in this city, you know?
There was that bear walking around Freetown.
Right.
And New Bedford, yeah.
Yep.
It was more funny when he was in New Bedford, though.
Yeah, he was over at Power Office.
Yeah. Hey, man, I go to Power Office, too. That's, but anyway.
Yeah.
So what's the season typically like at a haunt in New England? Like September to...
Yeah, basically, I coined the phrase Septober.
Yeah.
Because not only do I work for, the haunted houses for Barrett's Haunted Mansion, bhmansion.com, but I also work at King Richard's Fair.
Okay.
Which is hilarious because I love horror movies. This is why I work at a haunted house. I don't like Renaissance fairs. That is not my interest whatsoever. My brother, Wizards and Lizards. That's always been his thing. That dude has been playing Dungeons and Dragons. No, seriously, my brother is like 57 years old. He's been playing Dungeons and Dragons at least once a month since he was 15.
Okay.
Still does. Now he actually...
he's diehard.
Yeah, and he does like an after school thing. Like, not all kids like sports. So he teaches kids to play Dungeons and Dragons, which is phenomenal. I think that's one of the coolest things my brother does. Anyway, I don't like Wizards and Lizards. I'm a monsters and robots kind of guy. But there was one year that the year that we had the Edaville Railroad there, I only had 4 weekends to do the haunted house. No, sorry, 2 weekends, 4 nights to do the haunted house. So my friend Jed got me in at King Richard's Fair just to have something to do in the fall and make money. And I make decent money over there. And I get to throw axes, which is cool.
Yeah.
And very trendy and hip now. I can... We went out with the haunted house people. We went to an axe throwing thing a couple of weeks ago, and I was telling them, I was like, if you're going to be competitive about this, you're not going to have a good time tonight. I've been doing that for 20 years.
Yeah.
So, in the fall, like right now, I work my normal job. I'm a machinist and a programmer, and I'll do that Monday through Friday. Friday night, I'm up at Barrett's. Saturday morning, I'm at the King Richard's Fair. Saturday night, I'm at Barrett's. Sunday morning, I'm back at the fair. Next weekend, the long weekend, I'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday at Barrett's, Saturday, Sunday, Monday at the fair.
Yeah. Well, at least the fair's during the day, so it's not interfering the schedules.
I have to get out early.
Yeah, you ever show up in the wrong costume? Like, who's this voodoo dude at the fucking in the Viking hut?
Yeah, I actually the other characters I do is a jester, and I repurposed his pants to the Ren Fair pants because they were like stripes. So it worked out good.
Yeah. So I last year I was at I'm not a Ren Fair guy either. Last year I was in New York at a show and in Brooklyn.
Yep.
And there's an outside courtyard.
Yep.
Where all the bands set up their merch.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone had pop up 10 by 10 tents,
Sure.
And I ate a whole bar of a whole chocolate bar, a magic mushroom chocolate bar.
Oh geez.
And I went on a bad trip. And I thought I was stuck in a Renaissance fair.
Oh no!
Because I kept seeing the top.
That sounds like hell, Josh.
It absolutely was. I had like 3 hours of sheer just being pissed off, melting, thinking I was stuck at a Renaissance fair. I was like, why am I here? How the fuck do I get out of here? Whatever. And it was like, but it wears off. You know what I mean? But that's my only Renaissance. I went to the King Richard's Fair I think once when I was a kid, so I don't really remember it.
I went as a customer in 1991. With Audrey Brow.
Okay.
Remember her?
Yeah.
Yep.
She hangs out at, that's Chad Brow's little sister.
Yeah, and Chad Brow worked the axe throwing booth for a lot of years at King Richard's Fair, and then when he left, I took his spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know a guy named Ian that runs
Yes.
a lot of things? Yeah, we work on his bike here at the shop.
Yeah, he mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my boss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said he ran a lot of the games.
Yeah, he owns the gaming section.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Ian, and his name is like, it's Slavic, so it just looks like somebody dropped a Scrabble bag on the ground. It's just a bunch of letters.
Yeah, I don't know his last name. I know his bike and I know his first name. But good guy.
Yeah, I love Ian. Yeah.
He's got an interesting life because he's like, he'll call and he's like, oh yeah, I'm in Colorado or wherever he's at, after when the season's over.
Right. He used to travel like from fair to fair to fair, but I think he just does King Richard's now.
Yeah. It's interesting to me that, this local thing has talent, that people that come from all over the country to work at it. I didn't realize it was such like a big thing.
It's well, the way the Renaissance fairs work is, the way I explain it to people is, it's kind of like a flea market. So you get like the world famous Whaling City Festival, for an example, right? So you get the guy there that sells the t-shirts, that awesome guy that has the t-shirts every year. That guy lives in New Jersey.
Yeah.
But he comes to this festival to sell his t-shirts, and then in a couple of weeks he'll be at
another one,
and this, that, and the other. Well, that's how King Richard's Fair works too. So like the guy that sells the leather masks over here, he'll pick up, and then if maybe he'll travel to another fair, or maybe he's just locally just does this one. Yeah. But some of them pick up and travel.
So the guy that makes the swords is going to like all the Renaissance fairs selling his swords?
Very, very well could be. Yeah. Not all of them, but some of them. Some of the gamers, like I work in the gaming section. Some of the gamers like myself, I just stay here.
Yeah.
Some of them travel from show to show to show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because the way they're scheduled, if you work it out, right, it's like being a band on tour.
Sure.
Like you get on this tour, you get back, and then you have a week off and you jump on this next tour and stuff.
Right. But so it's more like Mike Patton, where he's touring with Faith No More, then next month he's touring. Well,
Mr. Bungle.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other, guy's got like 1,800 bands.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know, I didn't realize that there was like, I thought they were all just local ones. I didn't know there was such like a potential traveling scene to it.
Right. Yeah. I actually.
Or like industry, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Ian, the first year that I worked there, because, I came from, I was in a band and I was the singer and the front person for the band. So I had the, working with the crowd.
Yeah.
And then I worked with the haunted house for like 4 or 5 years. So I had that interaction with the crowd. So whenever I went to go work at King Richard's Fair, I had all this experience. And they actually had me running a kids game, and I was selling it. I was doing well. And I remember Ian and his boss at the time, Mike, coming up to me and asking me if I wanted to go on the road with them. And I was like, no, I have a good paying job here.
Yeah.
But thanks. And I ended up like taking them up on the offer and did a working vacation down in Deerfield Beach, doing some games down there. And
where's that?
Deerfield Beach is... It's either just north or just south of Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, okay, Florida.
It's near. Yeah, I should have mentioned that. Yeah. It's.
I don't know Deerfield Beach.
Yeah, Deerfield Beach is like, I don't know. It was north of Miami, south of Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, somewhere in Florida.
Yeah, it was just southern Florida.
So is the vibe a little different at the Florida Ren Fair?
Yeah, that was what they call a tent show. So King Richard's Fair is permanent. That's a permanent structure.
Yeah.
The one down in Deerfield, Flarf, is a tent show. They put it up, and then when it's done, they take it down, and it's
put away.
You never knew it was Burning Man. You never knew it was there.
Yeah. So, is there a lot of like you've been in this 24 years? How long were you doing Ren Fairs for? Same amount
I
of time?
think this is my 18th season.
Okay, so you were doing the haunt stuff for some years first.
Yeah. The haunt is my priority.
Now, is there a lot of like stay in there, or is it a lot of turnover? Like, is it like, are people in that industry like?
All right, yeah. So there's
lifers.
Yeah, there's lifers. I now over the past couple.
You're like OG in that.
Yeah, and I'm also like trying to transition a little bit too, because eventually the muscles aren't going to snap back into place like they used to. The dexterity isn't going to be there. I mean, so far so good. I've been able to do these 80-hour weeks every year.
That's why you're at the gym. You're working out so you can work the fucking
exactly. I got to stay in shape for my jobs, but eventually time catches up with you. So now I've got my like 5-year plan or whatever. So I'm writing seminars on how to be a haunted house actor. You, like I said, maybe about half an hour ago, where I said, this is my hobby. This is how I spend my time. And you're like, well, how can you do that year round? And I said, you would be surprised. There are national conventions all over the country all year round. There's a huge one called Trans World in St. Louis.
They got to change that name.
Yeah,
in 2023.
It's misleading. Yeah, they've had that name. I posted that I was going to Trans World, and my friend Joe goes, "I just went to their website. And I got to tell you, I'm disappointed." Yeah. A lot of people make that joke. It's the name of the company because they do other shows besides Halloween show. Yeah. But it's Trans World. That's in St. Louis. That's a 4-day trade show. Like cuckoo bananas. You wouldn't believe how big it is. Everybody's showing off all the new stuff, all the new makeups, new colored contact lenses. That's small. Then they have like escape rooms that you can buy.
Like a whole prefabbed room?
Yeah, you could buy an escape room business, like a turnkey business. Walk in there, buy it. It'll probably cost you like $30,000, but you could buy the whole business as long as you get a place to set it up.
Yeah.
If you're looking to make a couple of bucks next year.
Probably make more money doing that than motorcycles, but it's all right. It's cool. But so there's this big industry behind it. It's like,
yes,
not just.
And like what you were saying before about the lifers and this, that, and the other, like the first slide in my presentation, I always talk about what they call the 10,000 hour rule. If you're going to practice and you're going to get proficient at something, you got to work 10,000 hours at it.
Yeah.
But there's not that many hours in the work week at a haunted house over the course of the year. It would take you over 100 years to get to 10,000 hours. So you have to think about it constantly, all the time. And that's the difference between somebody that works at a haunted attraction and a, finger quotes, guys, haunter.
Yeah.
I'm a haunter. That's what I am.
So that's the terminology. For someone that's serious.
Haunter. Right. Okay. Yep.
So that's when I put your name on the thing, it'd be
Bil Withonel, Haunter Esquire. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't put Rennie.
Yeah.
No.
So Rennie's the lifer for Renaissance Fair?
Yeah. Okay. And because it's like the running gag because I don't really care for Renaissance fairs.
Even though you've been doing it 18 years.
Exactly. I mean, I've been at my job as a machinist for 35 years, but.
So you took your parents' advice to heart. Like if you do something, you're in it.
Yeah.
Good thing you didn't stay on bowling.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be like nachos all over the place.
Champion,
the best mozzarella stick maker in the.
But so yeah, man. Like, so how much time goes into just say like the one you're at now.
Yeah.
Barrett's.
The Barrett's on bhmansion.com.
Yeah. All right, yeah. I know. I'm going to be thinking about that. I'm going to wake up in 3 a.m. We'll bhmansion.com. How much time goes into that off season? Like is it set up pretty quick? Because you said it changes, right?
Yeah.
So is that something that you said there's a lot of time put into it? So
right. So season ends usually just after Halloween. We usually have sometimes we have like one weekend. Excuse me, I got a burp.
So the first week in November.
One weekend after Halloween sometimes and all that. But typically we'll say Halloween, done.
Yeah.
And then, you get to rest for a couple of months. Then usually around February, they start having meetings where I got this idea for a room. I got that idea for a room. We should do this. We should do that, blah, blah, blah. Start drawing off the map because sometimes we reroute the map through the house. They start doing that around February. Trans World is where you buy all the new props and this, that, and the other. That was in February this year. Typically, it's in March.
Okay.
So the owner and management will go out and they'll look at all the new stuff and they'll be like, oh, we want this, we want that, we want this. There was this prop that they had there this year. I wasn't there with management. I just went because I wanted to go.
Yeah.
But they knew I was there. So there was this one prop. It was like this, a skull about the size and weight of a medicine ball or a light medicine ball anyway, like maybe about 4 pounds, right? And it's on a bungee that straps to your wrist. So the owner is walking by and she's just like this little older lady, and the guy throws the skull and it bounces back into his hand. It knocked her over though. It didn't hit her, but it got her.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and she's owned a haunted house for 32nd season.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not going to get her. They got her. So they're like, we're buying one. Go find Bill. Because they wanted me to do it because I did a similar gag with another character. They're like, go find Bill. Buy him one of these. Let him pick out which one he wants. So I get this awesome skull.
Yeah.
And yeah, I throw it and it bounces back to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's the voodoo guy?
No, that's the Jester does that one.
Okay.
Yep.
So as a haunter,
Yep.
how involved do you get in the kind of the setup or the design of things?
In the build process, I don't.
Okay.
I like to give suggestions, but not many of them get used because a lot of people get suggestions, and there's only so much room.
Yeah.
You know.
And budget, and if they go and they don't have props for that room.
And it's like, hey, you know, can you do this? And like, didn't we just buy you a skull? Shh. No,
Yeah.
no, they're not.
You got a skull, shut up.
Yeah, exactly. No, they're not like that.
No.
I don't get involved in that.
Yeah.
I'm not on the build crew for several reasons. One, I'm not handy.
Okay.
Two, that's a lot of stress because there's a time restraint. You know, you got to get this finished in X amount of time, X amount of budget, you know,
Sure.
this, that, and the other. That sounds exactly like work.
Yeah, yeah.
And I already have a job.
Yeah.
That's work.
Do they ever pull you in for your machining skills?
No.
Okay.
No.
Do they know you're a machinist?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And well, the thing is that like they say, hey, can you machine that? And I'm like, no, I work for a corporation.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I don't do, we don't have the capability of doing jobs.
Yeah.
You know, I work for, we have government contracts.
Yeah.
So I'm not a part of the build crew, but what I do over there is, and it's kind of an unofficial thing. They let me do it because I want to do it, and also nobody else wants to do it. Is I love getting involved with the new hires.
Okay.
I love being the mentor, you know, because
bringing them up to speed.
Yeah, you can only have one first year,
Yeah.
and you never have it again, you know.
And that makes or breaks it. Like if someone has a good experience and they want to stay involved, if someone's like, this sucks.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I do a training process with them, you know, teaching the facial expressions, and you know, we play a couple of improv games and this, that, and the other. And like this year, and it's really, really funny that you know, we're here doing this because I actually told a story involving you, and I think we told the story before the mics got turned on, so I'll tell it again real quick. So I had about, you know, 20, 30 people, you know, new hires this year, and I was like, okay, hands up. Who's my shy people? Who's the shy people? And I had like 4 or 5 of them, you know. And I told them as a group, I said, when I think I was 21, just about 22 years old, I was a shy kid in high school. My father died when I was 18, and I got into bands. And here I was. I'm the singer in a prog rock band, playing with a bunch of thrash bands and hardcore bands. I knew we were going to get destroyed that night, but I was okay with that because I knew I had to kick that door down. Because if I didn't kick that door down, I would be in my room for the rest of my life. You know, I had to go out there and do something. And I remember on the second song that night, the night that you and I did the gig together, Ryan Parker was in the band at that time. And which is really hard to get around, you know, now, because he's had a crazy life, you know, as well, you know, with, you know, working with the dude from Converge and then doing all the MMA stuff and all that. That guy's lived like 4 lives. But at any rate,
and he was a Dartmouth Mall character as well.
Yeah,
I met him and his brother at the mall.
Yeah, that's why we named the band Market Square Heroes. I mean, it came from a song.
Yeah.
But I took Market Square Heroes as a real pompous way of saying mall rat.
Yeah.
You know. So I remember we're on the second.
Which is what you got to have a little pompicity to a prog rock band.
Yeah. So I turn and I remember we're on the second song, and I turned and I looked at Ryan, and my leg is just like a mess. It's like the Flash. It's just
uncontrollably.
It's a blur.
Shaky,
yeah. And I look at Ryan. I'm like, I'm shitting in my pants, but you know, we got through it. You know, and So I'm telling this story to the new hires. And then I went up to them one by one. And I said, I'm going to come up to you and I'm going to say, I'm going to look you right in the eyes. I'm going to say this to you point blank because I want you to see me. I want you to see my eyes and I want you to believe me. I go, the only people that are ever going to tell you, this is me turning into the motivational speaker now. Yeah. I go, but the only people that are ever going to tell you that you can't do something are failures. Okay? Nobody's ever going to tell you that you can't do something because they didn't try or they tried and they failed. I go, I'm not going to tell you that you can't do this. I did it. You can do it too.
Yeah.
I lifted that from Paul Stanley, from Kiss, who was another person that he did it, you know? So that's what I try to, get to these first year people. And a lot of them are just that, where they're trying something new and they're Bil Withonel up on stage at the curfew playing playing against a bunch of hardcore bands. They're trying to get out of their shell. And I love being there for that. I love watching it.
Yeah. Yeah. So because it's like your mentorees or whatever. Like you see them come along.
Right. And whenever I taught the class this year, there was like 3 or 4 people that were in what I call the freshman class. The first year people last year. They were like, can we come to your class? I was like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know why you guys want to come to the class. You already went to it last year. They're like, it's fun.
They want a motivational refresher. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like the Tony Robbins of the haunt industry.
Yeah. That with with slightly smaller teeth, I guess. Yeah.
That should be your character.
Better haircut.
Get big teeth and get out there and be the motivational. Do you ever see? And this is totally not off topic, but did you ever see a movie? It was a documentary called Hell House.
Maybe.
So let me walk you through it real quick.
Before you go any further, are you going to bring up McCamey Manor? Is that what you're doing right now?
No, I don't know what that is.
We'll get there.
Okay. So Hell House was this documentary, and it's funny as hell. Mm-hmm. And it's not intentionally funny as hell. It's somewhere, I don't know, it's somewhere in kind of like a more like Bible Belt area.
Yep.
And they make a haunted house, but it's all of sins.
I want to go to one of those. It's
yeah.
This is what hell looks like, you heathen pregnant teenager.
Yeah.
Those are the worst ones, Josh. Seriously, those haunted houses are the worst. And when I say worst, I mean the best. Yeah. Like, they're super gory. They're super violent. They're out of control. Yeah.
It's like walking into like the Crusades. It's about it. But
so we went to this one place in.
But that was what I was saying, because I was laughing because it was like vicious. Like,
they don't
fuck around.
No, not at all. There's this one place that we went to not in Columbus, Ohio, but just outside of it, and it's called Dead Acres / Haunted Hoochie. You think Transworld needs a new name?
Yeah.
Haunted Hoochie should reconsider.
Yeah.
They kind of gotten some backlash because the owner is something else, shall we say. Yeah. They were showing Nazi stuff on the wall. So there was like some weird kind of backlash with the Haunted Hoochie. I don't get involved in stuff like that. But we went there before the backlash happened, and they're a extreme haunt. They're a full contact haunt. You go in there, you come to any haunt in this area, except for special nights, but on most given nights, we can't touch you.
Yeah.
We're not going to touch you, Haunted Hoochie, they just, they grab you. And they knew I was a haunted house actor. They knew I was a haunter. That dude, like hooked me, like headlocked me and dragged me into a closet and stuff like that. Yeah. So they spray you with stuff. They yell at you. They swear at you and stuff like that. That was like next level stuff. And we were like all about it because we had never seen stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of the haunts now are starting to pick up on that. So my haunt, Barrett's Haunted Mansion, bhmansion.com. We do 3 special events during the year. As this episode goes up, you just missed what we call Darkness Unleashed. So that was last night in real-time listening. Darkness Unleashed is the house is completely blacked out. You get a glow stick, but that is taped up to the point where it's not giving off any light.
Yeah.
It's red or it's blue. And that's not for you. That's for me.
Yeah.
So I know you're coming.
Yeah.
You can't see shit. And we'll grab them. We'll spray water in their face and this, that, and the other. That's Darkness Unleashed. On the 18th and on the 30th of this month, we have 2 other special events called Devil's Night, which is similar to Darkness, only thing the lights are on, but now it's full contact. We can grab you.
Yeah.
And
so people have to sign waivers?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, they have to sign waivers for that. And it's never, it's not out of control. I'm not punching anybody in the mouth or anything like that. Although last year I was in a morph suit, so I was in complete black, and the room I was in was in complete black too. And I would see the people come in the room, and I would come up behind them and I would grab them, And if I felt that it was a boy, I would hook him. I'd put him in a headlock, and then I would kick him in the back of the knee, so we would both fall to the ground, and the floor was padded. It was just blam, collapse on the ground, and then I would like stroke their head, and I'd be like a baby, and I'd be like, shh, you've been through so much. It's really creepy,
Yeah.
And if I grab them and I felt that it was a girl, I would just like tango dance with them, and I would get in their ear and I'd say, dance with me, you little toad.
Yeah.
So
you can't grab a girl and bring her to the
no.
It's assault.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, they signed a waiver, but there's limits. It's being cool. So, people have a good time with that. And then we also do like kind of skits. Like there was a hair salon like set, and people would like grab people, like put them in the chair, grab their hair and make believe they were cutting it. And then they would throw fake hair in their lap so that people thought that you cut their hair.
And they freak out.
Yeah. That's like we were talking like an hour ago about the different levels of like psychology.
Yeah.
You're freaking these people out. So those are the Devil's Nights. Those get out of control. Those are a lot of fun. So we have those. Now, like I said to you before about...
Now, in those full contact ones, like we grab... You ever get cold cocked? Like someone like freak out and like...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get cold. I get punched in the face. You can tell the difference between somebody being a dick and someone,
Just scared reaction.
Yeah.
Just fight or flight.
Yeah, exactly. Like the first year, there was like a 7-8-year-old girl. What she was doing in the house, I don't know. You have horrible parents.
Yeah.
But she's in the room, and I got like down level. I got like kind of like in her face, and she just went pow, and like just straight like punch right in the mouth, like boom. It's a 7-year-old kid. It's not going to knock me out, but it's like, skin bracer. It wakes you up a little bit. Yeah. And I've gotten pie plated in the nose. I've gotten elbowed plenty of times and all that. After years and years, the difference between somebody being, chump slapping me in the
aggressive,
back.
Versus like someone with a visceral reaction.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're not having fun, if you're not willing to put up with that, then maybe you're not cut out to be a haunter.
Yeah.
That's something you got to put up with. I brought up McCamey Manor. Every year, somebody typically will bring it up to me because the memes go around. There's a haunted house. You've probably seen them. Well, you don't seem to do social media too much, but every year there's a meme that goes around. There's a haunted house that's so extreme that there's a waiting list of over 10,000 people, and nobody's made it all the way to the end. It's not a haunted house. That's somebody's basement. It's this guy, Russ McCamey. I've met him. He's a nice enough guy, but he's kind of a weird guy.
A little off?
Yeah, a little. Well, you got to be a little weird off because of what he does. People sign up for this shit. Not me, but they sign up for this, and he basically just like locks you in his basement and tortures you for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Like ties you up to the support beam and all that, and they'll pour bugs all over your face, just literally torture you for 8 hours.
Yeah.
That's not a haunted house. That's like a weird like sex fetish thing. I'm not going to kink shame anybody's anything, but if that's your bag of dope, go ahead. Not for me. There's a documentary. It was on Netflix. I don't know. It comes and goes. It'll probably be back around given Halloween season. It's called Haunters, The Art of the Scare. And it's about maybe 10 minutes about haunted houses, and the rest of the documentary is all about that place.
Because it's so wild. Yeah.
No, because Russ put the money into it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He made the documentary. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So,
in the industry, I'm not going to say anything about him because like I barely know the guy. I met him a couple of times, but I'll say this: in the industry, you can't find anybody to say something nice about that guy.
Yeah.
Everybody, because what he does isn't haunting, and he passes himself as a haunter.
Yeah.
So it makes us look bad.
Yeah.
We don't do shit like that.
Yeah. And that's like you said, that's a different thing. Which brought me like I didn't realize this, but from talking to you tonight, like I didn't know there was like all these different levels of like haunting houses. Like so there's like there's probably like one more geared towards kids, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like the regular, and then there's the extreme, and then there's that guy.
Yeah. So whenever we worked for Spooky World, at Foxborough, and then there was one year that we did a gig over at Canopy Lake Park. And Canopy Lake Park still does a haunt over there called Screamfest. And they're more geared towards a younger crowd.
Okay.
And they, I don't know if they do it now, but I know we did it when we were there, is we actually sold little flashy necklaces called Monster Be Gone. And if a little kid has that on, we know don't scare them. Okay. Sometimes adults have them. They want to see everything. They just don't want people jumping out at them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's like, getting a full meal and only eating the French fries. But
I just want to look at the burger, but I want to eat the fries.
Sure. Yeah. So, there's different levels. I remember whenever I first went to work for Barrett's, we did a promo thing over at Fenway Park. So I brought one of my characters with me who was like a demented surgeon, and I come out of the dressing room. I was like, does this look okay? 3 people in unison went, more blood. I was like, oh, I'm going to like working here. Yeah. So Barrett's is a little bit more towards, I'm not going to say we focus on gore, but we're a little bit more gore friendly than the haunt I was coming from.
Okay.
Was. Back in Foxborough, and I mean, we're talking dollars and cents now. It's a business, It's like music. You could be doing top 40 music and make a shitload of money, or you can do what you want to do and make less money but enjoy yourself. Yeah. So you doing the kid-friendly shows in dollars and cents makes way more sense. Because the more people attracted, the more money you get.
Yeah.
We're a small operation, and the haunted house itself is actually, it used to be a residence.
Okay.
It used to be somebody's house. I mean, it's a good sized house. It's completely gutted, but because we can only have so many bodies in the house at the same time, and that's another thing too about Barrett's, is we're relentless. From the second you walk in that door to the second you walk out the end, boom, boom, boom. We don't let up for a minute.
Yeah.
There's no dead spots.
How long does it take to get through the house?
That one, like I said, we're a small operation, maybe 10 minutes.
Okay.
And all that. It's a pretty small footprint. We have 2 houses, one slightly bigger than the other. But like I said, it's relentless. We pound. It's just one thing after another after another. You don't get a rest.
Yeah.
I've been to other haunted houses, like that one I was mentioning where you walk through the woods. You could literally walk for like 2 minutes without seeing any actors because it's so big. You're walking over a mile.
Yeah. But could that could probably add to it a little bit if you have a little false security.
Right.
If you do it right.
Yep.
I'm not trying to get into the psychology.
No, look, it's like I said, I mean, I'll peek a little, let you peek a little bit behind the curtain and all that, but like,
no, yeah.
That's something I absolutely tell the new actors every year. It's not a rule. Like, you're not going to get fired if you do it. But I always tell them, when you get done for the night, take out your contact lenses, wipe off your makeup, change your clothes. Don't go out to IHOP or they don't have Bickfords anymore.
Yeah.
But don't go out for breakfast. Don't get your pancakes in your makeup because that ruins the show.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I saw that person, this, that, and the other. And holy shit, dude. Were you a wrestling person? Did you watch wrestling?
When I was a kid.
And all that. So you know who Roddy Piper is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So I got to meet him. I love this story. I got to meet him a couple of years before he died, right? It was that Rock and Shock. Remember they used to do that, right?
Yep.
So I loved Roddy Piper as a kid. He was the biggest bad guy in the industry, right?
The heel, yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. Out of his whole career, he was only heel for 3 years.
But that's what everyone remembers him as.
But he was so good at it, right?
Yeah.
So I had a haunted house t-shirt on and he asked me about it. And I was like, oh, I work for I'm a haunter, blah, blah, blah. And I go, I'm actually I'm teaching seminars, teaching people how to scare people. And he's like, oh, that's pretty interesting. He was a super nice guy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he was the best. The nicest celebrity I've ever met. Maybe the nicest person. So at any rate, I told him I had talked to Jerry the King Lawler, a couple of weeks before, and some of the wrestlers were doing podcasts. They just started doing podcasts, and Piper had one. And I asked Jerry if he was going to be doing the podcast, and he just put his head down. He's like, no, I don't like that. And Piper said, Jerry is very, very, other words leaving me. Traditional, that's it. Very traditional. And there's certain lines he doesn't like to cross. And he was trying to say, the show belongs over here, that kind of a thing. So I stopped him because he didn't have to over-explain to me. And I told him, I was like, look, I'm not going to make believe I know anything more about wrestling than what you let us see. Even whenever there's like an expose in wrestling, you're not seeing the business. You're seeing what they let you see.
Sure.
And I go, so I'm not going to make believe I know anything more about the business than what I'm allowed to see. But I'm a haunted house actor. I'm a haunter. And every year I always tell the new kids, when you go home, you wipe off your makeup. You take out your contact lenses. You put on your street clothes. Don't go out to eat wearing your monster makeup. Roddy Piper pokes me in the chest. And he goes, you say you don't know, but you understand. Oh my God, dude. Like my childhood hero validated my existence. Yeah. And now I'm getting to a point where, the kids that I'm telling that story to every year, they don't know who Roddy Piper is.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to say, well, Roman Reigns said that to me or something, whoever the champion is now, right?
I don't even know like any wrestling stuff anymore.
Oh, really?
No.
Well, Roman Reigns is the champion now.
Okay.
He's related to The Rock.
Okay.
That whole Samoan family.
Sure, yeah. Now you just brought a podcast. You had told me earlier you have a podcast.
Yep.
Why don't you talk a little bit
more cheap plugs.
No, but like, what's it about? Like, what got you into doing a podcast? And
all right, so it started out with my friend Gabby, who I met at the King Richard's Fair, and we're both, or we like to think that we're funny people, and we had always talked about doing a podcast, and with the way the internet works, where it brings everybody together, but it also keeps everybody so separate.
Yep.
We wanted to do a podcast simply so that we could.
The internet doesn't do it. It's the algorithms that do that.
Right.
That are owned by the companies that supply the social media.
Yes, and also what I'm getting at is it also makes us lazy so that we don't go out because I could. I could just text my friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of going out to the mall we used to.
But pre-internet, you had to be places. You wanted to see a band, you couldn't wait for some asshole to standing in the front to live stream the set. You had to be at the set.
Right.
Yeah. Or maybe see a shitty VHS of it,
or come see my shitty band. Yeah, exactly. So. Gabby and I wanted to do a show, and we had talked about it. We just didn't know what we wanted to do. For years, And then I came up with this idea called "This Week Was Way Better Last Year." So, because I wanted to do almost like music reviews.
Yep.
But you can't really use sound clips. And if you do, you gotta. There's fair use.
You can only use 10 seconds.
Yeah, and I wanted to do it as a YouTube channel, and I got flagged and this, that, and the other, and I was like, okay, you can't copyright history.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let's do a show, and I came up with the name. This Week Was Way Better Last Year, and I said we'll look up what happened on this day in history every day for the week, and we'll just talk and make jokes about it. Yeah. And it was just basically an excuse to talk on the phone for an hour with my friend and make jokes and make each other laugh. It served two purposes. One, it's a podcast. And two, it was almost like an antidepressant, because it was right around the start of COVID too, Yeah. It was pre-COVID, but I'm glad we were doing it during COVID because it gave.
That's I started right before. And then during COVID, I was like, I'm glad I got this.
Right.
Because it was something to do. And it was way easier to get people because I had more time. Everyone had more time.
Sure, yeah.
I still worked every day because they don't close. This is essential
Yeah.
because it's automotive or whatever. But
Yeah, I didn't ever stop working either. I work for we have government contracts. So it started out like with my friend Gabby and I doing that, and then it got to a point where we couldn't really make our schedules work.
Yeah.
And I was going to quit, and then my friend Jeff, who I brought up earlier, Jeff, as we call him, Jeff McLarge, he was like, "I can do it." I was like, "You want to try?" And it's a much different show.
Sure.
With me and Jeff. Jeff is a writer.
Okay.
And when it was me and Gabby was you always get the straight man, the comedian. Gabby was the funny one. I tend to be the funny one, or at least I like to think so, on our show. So it's called This Week Was Way Better Last Year. We have a little conversation between the two of us. Then we run down the week. We talk about like what happened. It's a lot of pop culture, but there's some history to it. We stay as far away from politics as we possibly can, because that's just, if you take a political stance, statistically, you just eliminated 50% of your audience.
Yeah, it shouldn't be like that, but that's how it is.
That's how it is.
Because it's like you said, well, you didn't, but I don't think you meant it like this, but when you're saying like the internet, whatever, I feel like the world is more divided now because of the internet. Because like before, like when we were kids and there was no internet and you only hung around with the people that were around you, like your band would play with my band. Right. We were two separate things, and then there'd be a thrash band and then something else. Mm-hmm. And it was, the show went fine. Right. But now, and you didn't know what your neighbor was politically because you didn't really talk about that. But now everyone's in these like echo chambers where it's like, I'm only going to talk to people that agree with what I say. Right. And you don't get challenged, you know what I mean? And so you don't see when your side's wrong on something. Mm-hmm. But everyone gets self-righteous because they're only hearing from the people that agree with what they say. Right. And it turns weird, you know what I mean? But because I'm one political stance and you're a different one, like shouldn't mean you shouldn't like my show or vice versa or whatever. Right. You know what I mean? But it's I'm just confirming what you're saying. Unfortunately, that's the state of things right now. Yeah. Which is,
like I said, I tend to lean left, but who cares?
Yeah.
I would much rather talk about horror movies or comedies or music.
Transcends all that.
Right. I'd rather talk about all that stuff than whatever the controversy du jour may be. Yeah. Because that's going to change anyway.
So do you ever do an episode where you literally compare like June 1st through June 7th of 2023 to June 1st to June 7th of 2022?
We've had some shows that we've talked about something that happened literally the year before.
Okay,
yeah. But most of the time it was like I run the Twitter account, which is also, if you're going to listen to the show, you're going to use the initials. So it's TWWWBLY, Twibbly. This week was way better last year. I do a daily Instagram. Every day is a meme of what happened on this day in history. So, for example, today, I don't remember the year, but I remember it was the first episode of The Tonight Show. And that shit goes back to the 50s.
Yeah.
So that was today. And sometimes there's a celebrity birthday, or we talk about like some weird holiday, like Cheese Pizza Day or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
And then we had this segment that we were doing called The Worst Song Ever. And so we would pick this a horrible song, and we would talk about it. And we'd talk about the history of the band, how the song came about, blah, blah, blah. But then that well started to run a little dry. So now we've expanded it. So now we have the worst movie ever as well. Yeah. And we scale everything like on a scale from 1 to 10 chuds on how bad it was. I always say that Chud is the worst movie ever made.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been doing that. So
see, that's tough because some things are so bad that they become good.
Oh, that's another thing too, is like half the time that we talk about the worst song ever, like we'll get emails, people like, hey, I like that song. It's like, I like that song too.
Yeah.
It's a piece of shit,
but I
like it.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah. So the same thing with some of the movies that we watch. We just watched, did you know the Monkees made a movie?
Yeah.
Head. You ever watch it?
No, but I remember that they did. I remember it was like on 56 or something when I was a kid. I remember.
It is something else.
Is it bad?
It's pretty bad. Yeah, it's up on YouTube.
How is it compared to Kiss Phantom of the Park?
It's a very different.
Sure, yeah.
Kiss Phantom of the Park has a cohesive storyline that you can follow.
Oh, this doesn't?
No. You're going to think you're back in Brooklyn eating mushroom chocolate bars.
Because the Monkees, there's probably a little bit more acid influence. to the
Yeah,
monkeys.
especially the year too.
hidden,
like-
hidden acid. They weren't talking about it, but
right.
they had a lot of psychedelic imagery. I feel like on the show.
Yeah,
A lot
yeah,
of
for
weird
sure.
shit.
It was the movie came out in 1968.
Yeah, so yeah, that's the height of it.
And another thing too was, and this is something I learned by doing this is why I love doing my show, is because I learned so much, because it's a trivia based show, is the Hays Code. Okay, so go back to like the 30s and 40s. There was literally no rules to making movies. You could do whatever you want. And then the Hays Code got put in. And it was this like list of rules of things you could not do. Couldn't swear, couldn't do this, couldn't do that, blah, blah, blah. Which is why it was such a huge deal in Psycho. Psycho was the first movie that ever showed a toilet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. If it's not the first movie ever to show a toilet, it was at least the first time they showed a toilet flushing.
Okay.
Right. So that was part of the Hays Code. It was like big controversy, and there was absolutely no nudity. Something else I found out, the movie MASH, not the television series, the movie, first 1971, 72, something like that. First movie to ever use the F word.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
No F words were ever used in movies until MASH.
And did that get them like a R rating or something?
That's the thing, is like the MPAA, G, PG, and all that. That started, it wasn't like all in one day. It was somewhere, it's a gray area right around 1968.
Yeah.
Which is why all those movies that you see from like 68 until like around 75, they started to calm down. But those movies, if you look at like horror movies and stuff like that, think about the movies that came out in those years. They're all super fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay. The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Right. Death Wish.
Yeah.
Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
All those movies are insane.
Yeah.
But that's because the directors.
Even the B ones, I don't know if Maniac was in that time, but
No, that's 80s. That's Tom,
was 80s?
That's Tom Savini.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But what had happened was in 1968, the Hays Code went away, and now they had the Motion Picture Association rating system. So all these directors like, what we can do whatever the hell we want? Yes, you can. Up to the rating.
So it became the Wild West.
As far as the rating will let you go, yeah, and it became the Wild Wild West, yeah. Which is why all those movies are so crazy. Like and Texas Chainsaw 74, right?
And you remember, like, in that time frame, there was a rated X.
Yes.
That wasn't triple X.
Right.
It was like in between R and
Right.
triple X.
Triple X is straight up porn.
Yeah.
Right.
But X was like,
And triple X wasn't even a real rating.
no, but it was just like, that
Yeah.
was like the
That was just because
code, yeah. Like,
Because the thing is you don't have to get a rating for your movie,
yeah.
but movie chains like AMC, et cetera, et cetera.
They need to have one.
No, they don't need to have one. They because of the contracts, they won't take it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
like they don't need to have one, but corporate
Yes.
policy is
Right.
They got to take something. They got to have.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you have this some like
Some kid walking
some
into
grindhouse picture showing over
yeah.
there, and it's like I took my kid to see this, and it's like what the hell, So
yeah.
they the big chains follow those
yeah.
MPA.
They don't really adhere to it because I remember going to see Alien with my father when I was like 6 or 7.
Yep.
And like that was R.
Right.
I mean, they didn't give a shit. Go ahead, kid.
Yeah, whatever. Here with your dad, whatever. Yeah. I remember 1980.
I remember being scared fucking shitless.
82 or 83, one of the two. Both my brother and I were underage. He was like 15, I was like 12. And, father's at work, mother was at work, it's summertime or whatever. My brother's like, hey, you want to go see Friday the 13th, part 3?
Yeah.
Right? So, we lived over near Jerry Swift, right? And Cinema 140. Remember Cinema 140, right?
Yeah.
So,
that was near where the gym is, right?
no, it's a little further up. It's near Yesteryear Cyclery.
Yeah, that's right.
So
no, ours was the gym was Flagship.
Flagship, yeah. So, but at Cinema 140, we walked all the way from, Jerry Swift to where the Cinema 140 was, which to people listening that don't know the Bedford area, that's a good 3 miles at least,
yeah.
So we decided we're going to walk all the way. We walk by the railroad tracks, another no. And, we get there and I said to my brother, I was like, what if they don't let us in because it's rated R? He goes, then we'll go see something else. but they let us in. They don't give a shit, you know.
Money's money.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, and it's all teenagers working that anyway. So, I remember seeing Friday the 13th, Part 3 in 3D.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The eyeball and everything.
Yeah.
I remember we went to go, me and Ryan, rest in peace, and our boy, you remember Kevin DuPont?
I remember the name.
Yeah, Kevin, yeah. We went to go see Colors there.
Oh, yeah.
And we heard a thud. And we reached down, we just found like a fucking burner.
Oh, no.
Fucking. Now, I remember, because Kevin he picked it up. I was like, dude, shoot it. And he's like, nah. And he gave it, we were leaving and he gave it to like one of the workers. I'm like, dude, I would have kept that. And I was so pissed at him. I was so pissed. But yeah.
I knew Ryan. I didn't know him well. I knew his girlfriend much better. I knew Melissa.
Okay, yeah.
Much better. But I always got along really good with Ryan.
Yeah.
But listening to your memorial show about Ryan, that story with the AOL, dude, I think my neighbor's a Dracula.
Yeah.
I tell that story all the time.
Yeah.
I barely even know the guy, and I tell that story all the time because that's such a great story.
So the best was we got so invested in that. Like we had this guy going. And there was a couple that was so funny, but there was one where Ryan, I forgot. It ended up being like this guy was like sent this whole diatribe about Vlad the Impaler.
Yep.
Like sent like literally like 3 pages of stuff like that the guy typed out.
Yeah.
And then Ryan just wrote back, so is Vlad the Impaler a Dracula? And the guy went fucking ape shit because the guy went ape shit. Like just saying a Dracula is the best for vampires. It gets like those people so pissed off. Like it's the easiest thing. And all you gotta do to piss off like paranormal researchers that are into like vampire stuff is say, is that a Dracula?
Is that like a Dracula?
Yeah. They get so mad.
That story though is I love a good long form, you know, long game joke like that.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
we were on that. Like there was like a week where we were snowed in, like one of those bad snowstorms.
Sure.
And we were just literally just fucking with people. We had all these people thinking we were Glenn Danzig and stuff. Because you could make your own names and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and we knew enough about them. Like if people like tried to quiz us, we could answer it.
Right.
And we had all these people going. It was the best. Like the early days of AOL was like those chat rooms was hilarious, dude. Because like people didn't really know what was going on
dude,
yet.
This one guy in a Yahoo chat room, I'll never meet the guy. I'll never find him. There's no way. But this man changed my life. We're in this chat room, and it was like user number, 315, whatever the fuck, right? So you get all the people, oops, just bang the microphone. All the people, you see the chat going up. It's like, user 315 has entered the room. Chat. User 315. Anybody in here bout it? Chat. I'm bout it. Chat. None of y'all about it.
Yeah.
Chat. User 315 has left the chat. That man changed my life.
He's bout it.
He's bout it. I tell that story, and then that's at the haunt, that has become like part of our vernacular. When we like something, we are bout it.
If you ever do a band again, you should call it User 315 and have a bout it.
Actually, my username is Bil Withonel 315.
Yeah. But
God, I never want to be in a band again.
No. But yeah, man. So anything else that we haven't hit on that you can actually talk about? Like I said, I don't want you to lift the veil or go behind the curtain.
I'll wrap up the show talking about this, and I'm gonna get a little dark and a little serious. And with you, unfortunately, last year losing Ryan, or the year before, whenever that was, and then most recently with Cheney, you'll definitely understand this. So. I had a really, really good friend in the industry. His name was Sean Chamberlain. Everybody knew him as TikTok. And we tend to call each other by our character names sometimes. So everybody knew him as TikTok. And that's the one I was telling you about before that would spray himself with the popcorn.
Okay, yeah.
And all that. And 2010, I was running with some girl that worked at the Ren Fair. And at that point, I wasn't a haunter. I was just somebody that worked at the haunted house. And something went kind of like south with this girl. And I was like, that's it. I'm going to just focus on haunted house. I call up Sean. I was like, hey man, you want to go to that convention in Ohio? It was like in 3 weeks, you know? You want to go to that convention? I ran the numbers. If, blah, 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 it'd be like $400. If we get 2 other people to come, it would be $300. Okay. I was like, all right, I'll drive. So we went. We booked the room and we went. And it was a convention for haunters, like a big 3-day party for all haunted house actors from all over the country. Midwest Haunters Convention. We had so much fun. And we went every year. And we'd have a slightly different cast of characters every year. And but it was always me and Sean. And Sean always rode shotgun. And then in 2013, it was me, Sean, this dude, Justin, who worked, I didn't work at Barrett's yet, but he did. And this other girl, Amanda. And I had a rule. I said, I'll drive, but we leave from my house. I'm not going to go driving up and down New England picking everybody up. You get to my house, we leave from my house. That's the way it works. So we went out. Sean wasn't feeling great. He thought he drank too much, but there was some health issue that was going on there that nobody really knew about. So we drive home. This is, like I said, June 2013. We drive home and we all go to sleep. I go into my office there. I sleep on my futon. Sean was on my couch. Amanda was on a cot, and Justin had grabbed the bed. And then we had set the alarm for 9:30 to wake everybody up. We're gonna go get IHOP or whatever, and then out of costume, and go out to start getting everybody home. So I wake up, and then the alarm had already gone off for Justin and Amanda, so they were already, kind of up and about. And then I go into my living room, and Sean had, he was sleeping on the couch, but it looked like he had rolled off the couch, and he was sleeping on the floor, like he had fell off the couch, and it didn't even wake him up, right? Yeah. And he's kind of got his head buried in his hand and all that. And so I grabbed my phone. I started taking pictures of him, right? And then I grabbed his hand sticking up like this. I grab his hand to shake it. Like, come on, Sean, wake. And I just go, you motherfucker. Because I found both my parents when they died. And I know what a dead body feels like, unfortunately. And Sean died. Sean was dead on my living room floor.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. That takes a lot out of you, Sure. And I got to be I don't want to say murder suspect, but that's basically what I was. I was a person of interest in a suspicious death for an hour and a half. My house was wrapped up in police tape. I had people, getting interviewed. I was getting interviewed by the cops and all that. I couldn't spit if I tried. My mouth just dried up. It was nuts. And cause of death was just
motorcycle.
I get that on my podcast all the time too. I live on Talking Hill. So cause of death was one of them things. He was 27 years old.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. So I spent the next 12 hours on the phone. Everybody was calling me.
Sure.
What happened? And I was trying to get ahead of the internet too. Because I was like, don't post anything on the internet. Not until his brother said something. But at that point, we started doing this thing, and it started with Sean, and it goes on to this day. It's been 10 years. Where if somebody in the industry passes away, you'll see all the haunts, and this is all over the country, and it started with Sean. And it's awful. I'd much rather have Sean here, but I love the fact that, flowers grew out of that big pile of shit. Is you'll see the logo of the haunt, like with Barrett's, it's a little devil face and an orange bar going across it. So if you ever see on my Facebook that and all that, that somebody died in the industry.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's somebody at my haunt, if it's somebody at Feartown, if it's somebody at Haunted Hoochie, whatever. If we know the person, bar goes across. And then another thing that grew out of that was when we worked for Spooky World up in New Hampshire, not far down the road is another haunt called Fright Kingdom. And there was a little bit of rivalry there, So I was at one of those Comic-Cons, and I go to those quite a bit. And I was at the after party, and I was sitting with 2 people, and it came out that we were all haunted houses, all haunted house actors, haunters. And I was like, who do you work for? And they're like, Fright Kingdom. I was like, oh, cool. I work for Spooky World. And like, they kind of give me a look. I go, hold on. Any rivalry between Spooky and Fright Kingdom, that is between owners.
Yeah.
That is business. That has nothing to do with you and I. I go, I love horror movies. You love horror movies. Let's talk about horror movies. And I'm still friends with them now. I do a live stream on my Facebook. I do art every Tuesday. And Katie was watching the live stream the other day. That was 10 years ago. And we ended up making this like hashtag. And the hashtag is all over the industry. It's many haunts, one family.
Yeah.
And yeah, all the haunts, we have this this exchange now going. Like they'll volunteer at my haunt, we'll go volunteer at their haunt, and yeah, everybody's very friendly with each other, which is awesome.
So there's like a bigger community around it beyond just the people that work at the one you work at.
An absolutely enormous community, which is awesome because at one time it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Factory of Terror over there in Fall River.
Yeah.
For years, the guy that owned that, he didn't want his actors associating with other haunters. He didn't even want them going to other haunts.
Yeah, it's always kind of weird.
Yeah, it was very like a horrible boyfriend kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But now my friend Mike, he bought Factory of Terror during COVID. The guy that owned it for all these years, he just wanted to get out of the industry. Mike got it, for a song, and now Mike runs it, and Mike's a great guy. We pick on Mike something fierce. We have this comedic feud going on between us and Feartown. Mike owns Feartown as well. But yeah, we're all friends. We all hang out with each other. I do an annual thing every year at Dave & Buster's where I just invite all the haunts. If you can get there, if you're in driving distance, or if you want to fly in, if you're that crazy. But I do a gathering every year at Dave & Buster's, many haunts with families. Just come on, let's hang out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
2 quick questions. Mm-hmm. One related to haunting stuff and one to Ren Fair stuff.
Can you do the Ren Fair first?
No, the haunt one is going to be on top.
Okay.
Like you've been doing it 24 years. Like what's been the most impressive, or either impressive, and they might be the same thing or separate, or your favorite room or setup? Like, I don't, I know what's been like the thing that you were like, damn, this is like the best room or whatever. So what would you call that? Like a
set.
A set. All right. Yeah. What's been the best set?
So I will sell the place that I work at now. 1, because I work there, and of course that's the way you do things. And 2, I'm not on the build crew.
Yeah.
So I don't mind bragging about how amazing our sets are. The sets at Barrett's Haunted Mansion are literally some of the best I've ever seen, and I've seen a shitload.
Yeah.
Because I've gone to haunts in different parts of the country and stuff. It's nuts, the detail. So the first year that I worked there full time was probably one of my favorite sets. You would walk into the house, and it looked like you were in a hotel, like an old hotel, you know? And the bellboy would be there, and he'd be giving you the rules, don't touch this, that, and the other. Then you turn around, you walk down this hallway, and you go into this room. And in the room, there was an elevator. And everybody piles into the elevator, 5, 6 people or whatever. The doors close, the thing shakes like it's going to fall apart. And the doors open, and you're in a completely different room. You didn't move.
Yeah.
You were in the same room, but while the doors were closed, they spun the room. They spun the walls around to make it look like you changed.
Yeah.
That was nuts.
Were people like, what the fuck?
People thought that they changed floors.
Yeah.
They literally thought that they changed floors.
So it was a good mind game there.
It was amazing at how well that worked.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've only watched them change it once because I didn't want to see where they hide the rabbit.
Yeah.
I liked watching the illusion. So if I went through the house, even in character, I would get in the elevator with the people.
Yeah.
Because
you didn't want to see
it looked so good.
Yeah.
It looked so good. That was probably my favorite. And it might have something to do with the fact that it was the first one.
Yeah.
We have a set this year that's really good, but
Can't get into it.
No peeking by the. If you have me on next year, I'll talk about it. But no
yeah.
peeking behind the curtain this year.
Okay. So my Ren Fair question.
Yep.
King Richard's Fair in particular.
Sure.
I heard that it gets wild there after hours. Like I heard it's like hardcore partiers.
Okay. So.
And I don't know if that's days of old or like days of like, but like.
All right. So I've had my fingers in a lot of pies. Okay.
Yeah.
Figuratively and metaphorically. But so, I've started out with bands. I mentioned before that I've done theater.
Yeah.
I dated a Rocky Horror person.
Yeah.
Worked at Ren Fairs, haunted house. And each one of them I've seen crazy, like hardcore party people.
Yeah.
I'd say the Ren Fair might be one of the like worst or best, depending on how depending on how
wildest,
depending on how you want to phrase it. Yeah, I remember when I very first started, the villagers. I only talk to the gamers now, but I remember I used to talk with the villagers. They're interns. They're not even hired actors. They work for free. Insane. Yeah. But I remember them having a strict rule. They weren't supposed to talk to the gamers because we were filthy, and absolutely under no circumstances talk to the jousters. The jousters are like one step away from being carnies. They're very talented carnies. They travel and they fuck. Yeah, they're Motley Crue on tour. Yeah. That's what I was told. It might be different now, 20 years later, but in 2004 when I started, that's what I had heard.
So like even after hours, you're not supposed to fraternize?
Well, no. King Richard's Fair is an anomaly in the sense that nobody's supposed to be on site after a certain time.
But I mean, like afterwards, like
there's no camping. There's no camping on site.
But like people go out, you know what I mean? Like, but
so I'll tell you a story. This is the story that put me off. Whenever I said I don't want to be in the Ren Fair, I want to just concentrate on what made me a haunter. This is the story that made me a haunter. So I was hanging around with this girl, and she was a Rennie. She traveled. Yep. She was a traveler, and she was in a singing group. And she was telling me about the girl that she was like the leader of the singing group. It was 3 girls, but 1 girl owned the show. The girl that owned the show, in her trailer, she had 3 boxes. One said, we'll say for an example, Boston. One said St. Louis. The other said New Orleans. In each box, she had an engagement ring. And she would, when she went to Boston, put the Boston engagement ring on. So when she saw her boyfriend in Boston, she would be wearing his ring. She was engaged 3 times over. And I was like, I don't think that's cool at all. I think that's a horrible person. And all that. And that girl was actually kind of like okay with it and like maybe I'll try something like that. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if that's the kind of people I really want to be associated with,
So how do you know, and I think you might have talked about this, but like, how do you know when you go from someone that works at a haunted house to what's the line between just someone who works there and the haunter? Like, how do you know when you're an actual haunter? Like what changes?
So one time I was at Hampton Beach, right? And there was this little, maybe 10-year-old, and he was a little chubby kid, and he had sunblock on, and it was like big white streaks everywhere. And my initial thought was, that kid needs to work on his blending. I think that was the line. That was the line for me. Whenever, remember the old Tootsie Roll commercials? The thing I say becomes a Tootsie Roll to me. Everything that you see, you're thinking about it in the haunt, in the frame.
Context.
In the frame of how could that be scary? How can I make a character out of that? That would look great in a haunt.
So it's not just like, I go to this for like a couple of weeks. It's more consuming mentally.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, for better or for worse,
Yeah.
you know.
All right. Good.
Did you learn a lot?
I did. Well, this is where the anthropologist comes out. I'm interested in the culture of these things. Like, that's why I ask you a lot of questions, like that type of stuff. Where can people find you? You can give that plug out one more time,
Okay.
but also your own social medias or your podcast.
Okay.
Like that.
So, to follow me, because I like to close the curtain.
Yeah.
My Instagram is locked up from August until December.
Sure.
Because I don't
just give like the podcast one out.
Yeah. So the podcast is, and that's where I'd really like to direct the traffic anyway.
Yeah.
It's called This Week Was Way Better Last Year. And you could use that as a search word in Google, or you could just look for on Spotify or whatever wherever you're listening to this, just TWWW. So 3 W's, TWWWBLY, Twibbly. This week was way better last year. It's about 45 minutes to an hour every week. And we look at this day in history.
What days it come out?
Mondays.
All right, man. And then give out that.
BHmansion.com.
Yeah. And then what are the dates coming up that you have special events? And give the address, for people, because I'm sure we do have a good amount of Massachusetts or New England listeners.
All right. So we're located in Abington. We're right on Route 18. The address is 1235 Bedford Road or Bedford Street, I think.
But Abington's good.
Abington.
Massachusetts.
Yep. The web address is bhmansion.com. The special events, the Devil's Night, which is the full contact night.
You want to get shooken up?
Yep. Yeah, you want to get shaving cream on your hair? Yeah. So that's the 18th and the 30th. We are open every Thursday through Sunday, starting this week. We're also open on the holiday Monday. And honestly, if you're going to come, I would come before, around the long weekend, starting the 13th, the 14th, those Fridays and Saturdays, the last 3.
Get bananas.
It's super, super, super busy. I mean, we put on the best show that we can. Like I said, entertaining the lines and all that. But if you are somebody that doesn't like waiting in lines, I would go
sooner than later.
Earlier, yeah, or on a Thursday or Sunday or whatever. And then another thing, there's an industry thing called Legendary Haunt Tour, which happens after the season because all the haunters are busy working.
Yeah.
So the weekend of the 10th of November, so the 10th and the 11th, and we're on the 10th, we got picked to be on the Legendary Haunt Tour this year. So there's going to be a tour bus. They're located, they're going to headquarters in Salem, and everybody's going to get on the bus, like 200 people. So a couple of buses. 200 people, and they're going to come down and they're going to come see our haunt on Friday. And then on Saturday, they're going to go up and see Haunted Overload, which is in Lee, New Hampshire, and then shoot across and see Fright Kingdom. Nice. So yeah, we got picked to be on the Legendary Haunt Tour this year, which is a huge honor.
Oh yeah, man. Cool.
Yep.
All right. Well,
so this is a good year to come see us because you
guys are stepping it up.
Yeah. We put a lot in that. Not the elevator, but the scene that's comparable to the elevator. Yeah, you'll love it.
Tell me off.
I will. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you for coming on and go check Bill out.
Yep. Have fun, guys.
Mother's Day is almost here, and you can get her the most beautiful time-tested gift around. A watch she can wear every day from Movement. Whether mom's into classic dress watches, rare and refined ceramics, or tried and true bestsellers, Movement has something she'll love. And right now, you can save big on the best Mother's Day gift ever with up to 50% off site-wide during Movement's Mother's Day sale at mvmt.com. Again, that's up to 50% off at mvmt.com.